friends around you got to sign it too. I am Melanie Lenow, and I am the academic and college advisor here at CLPS. It's a very fun role to be in because I get to work with our students like to plan and dream about their future. So that's really fun for me. Again, it's Lenow, long E, long O. And don't be timid if you get tripped up on it. I don't care, I'll answer anything. But it's funny to the students because they'll come up and they're like, miss. I'm like, just say it. If you mess up, it's okay. But I'd rather you say my name than just be hesitant to even approach me. So, Melanie Lenow is my name, and we're going to go through what I consider these two positions to be two sides of the same coin. So we're going to do a little bit of academic advising today, and then we're going to do a little bit of college advising, just to kind of give you an overview of kind of what I do and what is available to your students, what's available to you to help you as you plan and you work with your students as well. So always trying to keep our mission in front of us so we know where we're going. The mission of a graduate is our mission to create a graduate is to partner with parents to develop spiritual maturity in each student, to provide each student with an opportunity for academic excellence through a college-worthy education, and then to allow ample opportunity for ministry in the community. And if you notice, I've highlighted spiritual, academic, and community, because those are all three very important in our goal and in our mission as we work with your students. Okay, a lot of focus and time and effort is put in academics, and I totally support that 110%. We're a very education-minded family. That's one of our main goals. However, if you have even an adult in a great job, but their spiritual life is struggling and they are not effective in their community, then how effective are they even as an adult? And so we want to train up our kids to, yes, academics matter. Yes, the best job, all that kind of stuff matters, but you have to have the other two things to balance you out and to make you holistic as a person seeking after what the Lord has called you to do. So we want to stress those same three things with our students as well. So spiritual, academic, and community is my mission as I'm working with your students. And that goes right into creating the profile of a college-worthy graduate, and so one that understands the ways that God has gifted them and how to use those gifts to fit into kingdom work. So everyone is gifted differently. Everyone has different strengths and different weaknesses. No one is good at everything. And I think as I work with students, that's one way to just automatically take the pressure off, is because they think they're the only ones struggling with whatever. And they think everybody else has it figured out, and they're the only ones that is struggling. And that is by far not the case ever. So finding how they are gifted, finding what they're good at and what their strengths are, and running with those. Knowing the potential and attainable and concrete goals for their life after graduation. And that looks very different for every student. But we want to know them. And we want to make them attainable and concrete, not abstract. So as they get closer and closer to graduation, those big goals, we want them to have substance and touch points where we can check off, yes, we're attaining those goals. Number 3, know and be able to achieve the requirements needed to reach those goals. So know what you have to do to get there. And then know the entities that support your post-graduation goals. Know colleges, know what's out there, know gap program potentials, all that kind of stuff. So we want to empower them for their life after graduation. We don't want, I don't know what to do. It's okay to not know, but we want to have options out there, and we want to give each student options. This is all the potential that you have. Run after it. And that is kind of my goal for them. Romans 12:2, do not be conformed in this world, but be transformed in the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is good and acceptable and the perfect will of God. Sometimes our students are tempted to put themselves in a box, or our culture is tempted to put them in a box, that you have to, do this after graduation or do this as a, whatever age they fit into. But we are not driven by culture, we're driven by what God has called us to do. So we are not conformed by this world, but we're transformed. What is God calling us to do at every stage of our lives? What is God calling you to be like as a senior? What is God calling you to be like as a freshman, or where to go after graduation or whatever? Not just what is everybody else doing. And to prove what is good and acceptable in the perfect will of God for that person or for your student. So these are like the driving forces beyond.
Can I ask a question?
Oh yeah, sure.
Go back. This is beautiful and just unbelievable. On number one, how do you get them to know what giftings that they have?
We want to start those conversations even in the classes that they choose to take here. So even as we're talking about schedules in 9th and 10th grade, or even 8th grade really, we're talking through what interests them, what do they find themselves good at. If they, had an open afternoon, how would you fill it? Those just getting the conversation going. By the time they get like 10th and 11th grade, especially like in our advising class in 11th grade, we do interest inventories, we do a thing called Strengths Explorer through Navion's, different kind of personality tests type those things to help them fill that out. But that's not until later, because I really think it's a benefit to them to really begin thinking, how has God created me, before they see a test telling them how God's created them. Does that make sense? So that's why I kind of wait until like end of 10th grade, 11th grade to really like put the concrete behind those thoughts, but starting the conversations much earlier. So that's kind of how we go after that goal. Any other questions? Yeah, anytime as I'm going along, just ask away. Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit into on the advising side of the coin, okay? So we're going to talk about college in just a little bit, but on the advising side, just a few updates for you to be aware of. Now, all of you have a schedule, or all your students have a schedule by this time. So that means starting in January, when we first started talking about courses, to now, your student has found their way. Yay! A lot of work I know has gone into that, and I'm very glad that we've arrived at that. So from now forward, as we continue on in our advising relationship, there's a couple of tools that I want to point out to you that we're going to encounter. So one is our website, and our website is going to become, in the advising realm, a really good friend of yours, because we put a lot of information on the website for you to access on your own. Now, this does not mean that I don't want emails or you can't ask me questions. I definitely do. So if you ever have a question or you need something, whatever, please, email away. But this is a great first place to go. So if you go under registration right here, you'll see advising, and that is where this website is. Okay, so this is our CLPS family website. Go under registration and advising. So down here, you are going to see if you need to make an appointment with me. If you're like, hey, I need to talk to you, my student and I want to talk through a certain thing or whatever, that is the first place to go to an appointment. Now, when you click on that, it will go to my calendar, which known for this week because we're just really getting started. So, okay, so these are the office hours. My office hours technically are Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 12 to 4, and then Tuesday, Thursday from 12 to 3. We, on a personal schedule, we switched one of our kiddos to Tuesday, Thursday, so I won't be here much in the mornings, but I will be here every afternoon as opposed to just Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So if you get to this, but your week is full, or your schedule conflicts with this, and you need to do it a different site outside of this, just email me. This is not concrete. I'll be up here a lot anyway. So this is just when I guarantee you I will be here and be available to meet. But we can meet outside of this if something comes up or needs to happen. So that's how. Anyway, you'll click on whatever time works for you. It'll send me an email, and then I'll we'll contact that way. But that's a good first place to go, just to see what's available. Okay, so if you need to make an appointment, that's the first thing. right there, community service form. I'm really excited about this. So the community service form, the yellow form that's in the front office, you can still get it in the front office. There's a file in that little drawer thing that your student can fill out, and you can put it in my file, all that's still the same. However, if you want to do it online, now there's a capability to do it online. This is a Google's form, so you would click right here. This is a Google form that looks like this, and you just simply fill out the Google form, and your student can fill it out as many times as they have community service hours. So this will come straight to me as a Google form. Everything is the same that's on that little yellow sheet. It's just in Google form. Okay. For numbers and like details, it's right at the top right here. 6 hours of community service per semester, 2 of which should be clips, or if you're striving after character distinction, which we'll talk about in just a minute, 12 hours of community service a semester, and 4 of which must be through clips. Our house system is taking even more extra effort. They did a great job starting last year, making those community service hours available to students more. That's going to continue on this year, so there should not be a lack of community service hours through clips that your student can do. However, if anything ever comes up, just let me know, and we can work with you about that. But this is all a form on the website. I just wanted to show it to you as well. So back to the website. So you can make an appointment. You can your student can fill out the community service form. If your student needs a teacher recommendation, we have a policy for that. We have an information sheet, which is a great way for your student to remind the teacher all the great things about them, so they can write a great recommendation. So there's some resources right here for you for teacher recommendations. And then transcript requests. So especially senior parents, this is where you get a transcript request. The white paper transcript request forms are no longer. This will email me and give me a notification when you have a transcript request. You may email me as well and say, hey, I need a transcript sent here, but this asks you for all the information that I'm going to need from you anyway, so I would recommend you just go here as well. The paper forms, too easy to lose. So this is a great way for me to keep record about who needs a transcript, when I've sent it, all of that kind of stuff. So that's where you go for transcript requests. Especially 9th through 12th grade, especially 11th and 12th graders. I'm going to keep a list of, I have not updated it yet, but I'm going to keep a list of scholarship opportunities that come up. So check that here pretty often, I would say monthly at least, because I'm going to put in links for scholarship opportunities that your students can do, and then upcoming college fairs and workshops around the DFW area, like May 21st, there was a TCU application workshop that the students could have gone to. So that's all going to be there on the website. So that, so you want to really use that as much as you can. Anybody have a question about the website or anything? Now I will say this, I am not infallible in my technological abilities. So if you get to a form and it looks wonky or it's not working or something like that, please just email me. I will go on there and fix it. Don't get frustrated or anything like that. Just let me know. So let me say that as a caveat.
Ms. Lenow, when
yes.
you had the group advising workshops back in February, I wasn't able to make either of them, and I was really upset about that. But I was so thankful that you put the PowerPoint on the website there, and all that information was very helpful.
Good.
And it met what I needed.
Oh, yay, good. I'm glad. Well, I hope to continue to add stuff to the website as well. So as we have meetings or something like that, any resources that we find. But I'm glad that was really glad that was helpful. Yay. Thank you. Okay, let's go back to, okay, so we talked about the website, we talked about the community service. Okay, personal advising forms. So whenever you would meet with Ms. Maines before this year, or if we've met before this year, there's advising forms. And I will show you what one of those looks like. Okay, and it looks like this. So this is an advising form when we meet. Well, but we'll just work with it. When we meet, this is what we're going to be working on with your students. So this is kind of like how they're going to plan out their 9th through 12th grade, some 8th grade classes along the way, okay? What I'm going to do before October, so the month of September, I'm going to send these out by to your student individually. So by October, you should have a personal one of these for each of your students, okay? If you don't already, you might already. But I'm going to go through what everybody took last year, what they're scheduled to take this year, all that kind of stuff. So that's going to be my project for September. So by October, your students should have that. One of my goals this year is to figure out how to have an ongoing access to this, like we do on our website, but I'm not there yet. But by October, you'll have a personal one of these for each of your students. So just walking through this as far as graduation requirements, right here where it says diploma type, there are 4 types of diplomas that we offer here at CLPS. 2 are academic focused and 2 are community service focused, okay? So in the academic realm, you have a standard diploma and you have an honors diploma, okay? So as we're going through this form, you will see different requirements for honors and different requirement for standard. So for example, in math, for a standard diploma, you have 24 credits. For an honors diploma, you need 30 credits. So 30 credits means you start in 8th grade with Algebra 1, and you go all through with the senior year of a math, okay? 24 credits means maybe your student didn't start in 8th grade with Algebra 1, maybe they started 8th grade, maybe they started Algebra 1 in 9th grade. No biggie, they'll just take 4 years of math, and they're good, okay? So that's the difference. You know, with math, with science, a standard diploma is 18 credits, so only 3 sciences, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade science. An honors diploma is a 4th science. However, I will say a little caveat, I don't ever recommend not taking a subject their senior year, because if they have to take it again, even like entry level in their freshman year, it's going to be very difficult if they haven't had it for a year. So even if it's not required, I still recommend them taking a senior year of a science, even if it's one that, you know, it might be less challenging or something like that is another one. So anyway, so you'll see as you look at this, there's different, for languages, 2 years are a standard diploma, 3 years is an honors diploma. And there's distinctions for that. So in the academic realm, there's an honors and a standard, okay? So those are the 2 for that. Now, does it matter? I get the question a lot, you know, like, will my child still succeed if we don't do honors? And the answer is yes, okay? The difference of an honors, if you want to pursue an honors or a standard, is 100% your student and what fits the needs of your student, okay? If they struggle in certain areas, there is nothing less than getting a standard diploma. A standard diploma is a huge accomplishment here at CLPS. So don't let them feel like, don't you feel like, nothing. If they do standard as opposed to honors. If they need to be pushed and they need the challenge and they need that in front of them to strive after, then go for the honors. Does that make sense? So everybody, it is totally 100% what your student needs. Okay, and I'll tell them that too if they have it in their head that it's not. Okay, so in the academic realm, there's standard and honors. In the community service realm, there is standard and character distinction, okay? So character distinction is basically double the amount of community service hours and then 3 mission trips, 1 being international, okay? That's the requirement for character distinction. So if a student you know, has the opportunity and wants to strive after that, then they can pursue more community service hours and then have those mission trips worked in. The mission trips count from the summer before 9th grade to graduation. Okay, so you have all those years. I'm sorry, I misspoke. The summer before 8th grade now. So the summer before 8th grade, the missions count. So you have all those summers that they have the opportunity to do the mission trips if they want to pursue character distinction. And same thing for the community service hours. It can include the summers, you know, as well. And and it's an increase in like how many they need to do flips as well. So really character distinction is just the next level kind of in the community service realm. Okay, so you have two options. So a student can do standard with character distinction, they can do honors without character distinction, they can do standard across the board, they can do honors and character distinction. Totally whatever fits your student the very best. Okay. You know, just like academics, having character distinction doesn't mean that you're any better of a Christian than someone who doesn't do character distinction. And it really is. Like, I will, tell any of our students that. It's a great goal to have, and it's a great thing to pursue. But if it doesn't fit into who your student is, if they, are working and they don't have time to do extra community service hours, or if mission trips just is not something your family can swing, that is totally fine. We just want to give opportunities for to meet the need of every student, and those two categories does that, I think, as well. So,
Could I ask a question?
yes,
So there's 3 mission trips for the character distinction,
yes,
1 international.
yes.
Do the 2 that are not international, could it be like an inner-city VBS, or does it need to be like?
So the requirements of a mission trip is they can't sleep in their own bed.
Okay.
So if they go to, I don't know, McKinney, and technically it's not like outside of DFW, but they're staying on a church floor in McKinney and they're doing everything in McKinney, yes, it's a mission trip.
Okay.
If they do a VBS in McKinney and they come home every night and sleep in their bed, it's not a mission trip. Does that make sense? Yes.
Sure, that's what I was going to ask.
3 separate trips, or could you do one for 3 weeks?
3 weeks, that's a good point.
I think it's
Okay.
3 weeks.
I think it's 3
That
weeks,
has to
so
be
you're right.
international then, yes, but 3 weeks overseas.
You're exactly right, yes. Thank you for that clarification. It's three weeks of a mission trip.
So it could all be consecutive, like y'all went for
Yes.
3 weeks
Yes.
together.
Yes.
Could it be all international, or do you?
Yes.
No, it can be all international as well. It can be all international, yes.
New policy of character distinction, is that somewhere on here where we can go and do that?
Yes,
Because
it's in the handbook.
you now said that it's before Easter and.
It's in the handbook.
It's in the handbook,
Okay, I
yes.
haven't gotten that far yet.
Yes.
I know I have to do
Yes,
that by
this is
next week,
all in
but
the
I just
handbook.
haven't gotten
If you
that
want to go back to the website, just to continue to promote the website, go to the website, handbook has its own little tab. So this is all in the handbook as well. So yes, it's 3 weeks of a mission trip, not necessarily 3 separate trips. Yes.
See, personal finance is a required course.
Okay, yes, thank you for, yes, I
It's
need
also
to,
in general.
yes, personal finance is not required, it's an elective. So it's down here. This is, yeah, I need to.
So that's not required.
No, personal finance is not required, it would be an elective.
That is technology and foreign language.
Yes,
Required.
technology and foreign language, everything else is required, just not personal finance.
Okay.
Yes.
So
You
the
can
general
take
electives,
personal.
can that be more than those 4, or is that 4 to?
Yes, that's a great, the general electives. These are the 4 options that are not within a subject matter that we already work with. So, for example, if your student has already done intro to computer, and that's their 6 credits of technology. If they take graphic design and web design, those 2 courses are electives. So these 2 courses would fall under the 18 credits. So if your student takes intro to computer graphic, the rhetoric credit, they only need 2 youth and governments to fill the rhetoric requirement. So the other 2 youth and governments would go together to give them electives. Same thing with drama. They only need 1 year of drama for fine arts. But if they get in there and they love it, then every year after the first year it counts as elective. So you can fulfill your electives and never take the general electives. These are just the courses that we can add into that is not a subject that we already teach. Does that make sense? Academic advising is the class that I teach for the 11th grade. And then personal finance they can take anytime. ACT, SAT prep, and driver's ed are courses that you can transfer in that we give elective credit for, and they're 3 hours each. The ACT needs to be done under Dr. Tarpley, and the SAT would need to be done under Miss Mary Hamilton. Those are the two that we give credit for. You can do an SAT or an ACT anywhere you want to. Those are just the two that we give credit for. So if your student needs the elective credit, you can transfer these two in for 3 hours each of electives. If they don't need the elective credit, then you don't have to transfer them in. It's not required. But if they need it, then you can definitely transfer. Driver's ed, you can do however you want to. I know you can do it like through Sears or an online something. Yeah, an online something. So we're not there yet, so I can't give you like parent information on that, but we will be soon. So,
What's the best way for us to get graduate information to you if you had there?
For any transfers, including the AC or the driver's ed, there's a transfer form. You just fill out, it's in the front office in those files in that front drawer underneath the copy maker. It's a transfer form. You just fill out like who the instructor is or what program you use, and then print off their completion certificate or completion form that they get when they complete the course. And you just attach it to the transfer form with the information and then put it in my folder. So transfer forms are still paper. We still work with paper with transfer forms, just not transcript forms. But yeah, to transfer anything in, you just get a transfer form and fill out that information.
How many credits of athletics are required?
How many credits of athletics?
Is it
You need 3, let me go back up. You need 3 credits of athletics, yeah, PE right here. 3 credits of PE, which equals, here at CLPS, is 3 seasons. So, for example, if you had a son who did soccer in the fall, basketball over the winter, and baseball in the spring, that's 3 credits right there, they're done.
starting in the 9th grade?
Yes, starting in 9th grade. Or you could do 3 years of soccer, so the same sport for 3 years. Does that make sense? So, 2, if your student does a sport elsewhere, then 2 can be elsewhere. You can transfer those credits in, but 1 has to be here at CLPS. So they do need to take 1 season of 1 sport here at CLPS. And there's lots of different options. So, you know, there's a lot of different availability for them. And everybody has to do it. So that means if, you know, they will not be the only one who is not a cross-country star on the cross-country team, because there are students who are taking it for the credit. And so they are not going to be alone if that's not their thing. But yes, you can transfer two sports in. And if you need like the details of like hours and stuff like that, we can talk about that later. You can ask me that later, because there's like a certain number of hours you have to log and all that kind of stuff. But you can transfer 2 in, and then you have to do 1 year. So, any other questions about the advising? Yes.
It says youth and government must roll in 2 seasons. Does that mean like fall and spring?
No, youth and government here, it runs from September to their state tournament is like the end of January. And so really it's just 1 semester. You go a little bit into the winter semester, yeah. You go a little bit into the spring semester, but it's not much. And so it is pretty much just the fall. And so that's why you need to do 2 years of it, because it's like a credit 1 year and then another credit another year. But logic is a full year. So they can, if they would rather do logic than youth and government, they can knock that out in 1 year and be done. And they're both pass-fail, and they're both no satellite work. Everything's done in class. So it's equal across the board as far as requirements on them. The logic is like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like a class. Youth and government is once a week on Wednesday afternoons. Yes.
So outside of your enrolling in the academic advising class, are there set times that the students will meet with you, or only by request?
Once we start schedule building in January, then I would like to meet with each student or each family to make sure everybody's on track. Now sometimes, you know, that is my goal. Sometimes schedules conflict and that doesn't happen. And so that's why I want you to always have your students' personal academic advising goals with you. But yes, it is my goal to meet with all the students, especially 9th through 12th grade. I will for sure meet with the 11th graders going into senior year. That's a definite. But just in case, you know, our we don't get to meet together, I do want you to have one in your hand. But that is a goal in the spring semester to meet with everybody. So, yes. All right, anybody else? On the advising side of it, questions? Okay, so again, you'll have your students' advising plan by October. And so you can look and see, and then anytime we want to meet and talk about moving forward, all you have to do is just schedule a meeting with me. I would love to talk to you, whether it's the fall or the spring. Okay? So go ahead.
I do have a quick question. Biblical worldview, is it still required to take it here?
Yes. Biblical worldview is here. Yeah. All right. So that's the advising side of the coin, and the other side of the same coin is the college advising. You can't have one without the other, and so that's why they just really bleed really well in with each other. So our college advising goals, in their 11th year, they'll create in our academic advising class, but even if your student can't take that class, sometime by the end of that 11th grade year, they're going to want to start putting together the pieces of the application packet, because really applications open by end of July, August 1st for sure. And so going into their senior year, I know whenever I was in high school and I was a senior, it was like nobody really applied until like end of fall, beginning of spring, and then you find out sometime in spring, and then by graduation it's like, oh, where are you going? Not so much now. Everything opens really the summer before their senior year. So going into their senior year, they're going to need to have already made a lot of decisions so that they can put their best foot forward. Now, having said that, if they still don't know and they're applying in January, it is okay. Like, students do that. And if that is where they are, then that is where we will meet them and we will continue to move them forward. But the goal is to have them totally ready before they go into their senior year so that they can start applying if they can and if they are ready. So we're going to go through the application package and the details of that in just a bit. But that is our kind of main goal as we work with especially the 10th, 11th graders. And then kind of going back to that same master goal is partnering with the students and the parents to think through gifts and talents and goals for each student, because you can't get somewhere if you don't know where you're going. Okay? So having kind of a lofty idea of like, sure, after graduation, of course I want to go to college, but what does that look like for your student? And is that the best fit for your student? And what is their goal when they get there, so we don't waste time and money their freshman and sophomore year not knowing. So that is kind of on the college advising side. Those are our goals as well. So the first thing, creating an application package. As I go into that, we have created a college advising timeline. So depending on the age of your student, this starts in 9th grade, but really, if you do 9th grade stuff beforehand, you can do that as well. There is kind of a timeline that we go through, okay? And the timeline incorporates the parts of the application. So that's why to have a great application package by the end of your junior year, this is a basic timeline to follow to get there. Because if you start at the end of your junior year, it's going to be much more stressful than if you started in 9th grade and now you're just kind of building. So the timeline goes something like this. In 9th grade, really focus on being diligent in your studies. And you're going to see why whenever we talk about transcripts in just a minute. So really being diligent in your studies, make sure you have kind of an overall plan as far as what they want to take, the courses, and they do. If you're where you are now and you have a 9th grader, they have a plan. And again, whenever you see their advising plan, then you'll see the plan before October, but they do. So you're in a good place already just by being here and by starting this year, okay? But really encouraging them to be diligent in their studies. That's a huge step because transcript is a big deal. Grades are a big deal, and as far as the application process goes. So it's a whole lot easier to build on a good foundation than it is by the end of your academic career trying to come back and fix things. So really, 9th grade, 10th grade, being diligent in your studies is a good goal to have. Create your academic plan, which we've already talked about that. Think through your number of scholarships you might want to apply. For 9th graders, this might just be just like one a year. There are various essay contests, and I'm going to put those online that just various companies throughout Fort Worth do. Have them write an essay and just go for it. Okay? Every scholarship you apply for, you might not get, but I can guarantee you if you don't apply for it, you won't get it. So, and that's what I tell the students, because they're like, oh, I have to apply for another one. I'm like, no, you might not get it, but I can guarantee you won't get it if you don't even apply. So just start thinking just through a little bit. Hey, maybe one this year, 9th grade, to apply for. They do have scholarships that they can start applying for. Usually there's essay involved, which isn't very appealing for students, but sometimes it's a good character building opportunity. Let's see, the Strength Explorer assessment. I need to adjust that. I would not do the assessment quite yet, but exploring your students' strengths and weaknesses and talents and interests. Okay, maybe they've played baseball for 4 years and they're kind of like, meh, I could kind of take it or leave it by now. That's fine. Find something else that they're interested in, or whatever. Begin to be intentional about their extracurricular activities. It's really easy, especially with so many opportunities we offer, to just sign up for everything, okay? Start being a little bit more intentional as far as what really fits them, what are they interested in, what do they want to do, things like this. If you have a student who's interested in doing NCAA sports in college, we need to start talking like 9th, 10th grade, okay? Because that is something we have to really put in place. And then number 6, making a list of activities and awards. As your student gets awards as they're in the activities, just start like a spreadsheet, whatever is a good organizing tool for you, because when they have to start making, some of my senior parents can attest to this, when they start making that list of activities and awards at the end of 11th grade, it's super hard to go back and think, what did I do in 9th grade? What did I do? I'm sure I did something, but what did I do in 9th grade? So if you kind of do it along the way, it makes it a whole lot easier, really. And then number 7, visit a college fair or tour a college campus. Really starting the conversation is really all you need to do in 9th grade. Just starting those conversations. If you are, around, if you're driving through TCU, talk about, is TCU a kind of school you would like to go to? What do you like in this school? What is important to you? If you have family in, I don't know, Houston, and you're around University of Houston, or you're around Rice, or whatever college you're just kind of in the, as you go, start having those conversations, okay? Because your student might surprise you with they might say, oh no, but then they might be like, oh no, that's too big, or oh, that's too small, I want to go somewhere big, or I want to go somewhere that has a, great football team, or whatever, which overall goals is not the best goal, but in 9th grade, that's a good place to start talking. I'll take that. And, they're like, oh, I like them because they're in the SEC. And you're like, okay, so let's talk about it. Is that important? Or why is that important? Whatever. But it's a good conversation. The conversation is the most important, not the necessary concrete plans at this point. All right, so 9th grade, 10th grade is much of the same. You're just adding a layer to the foundation, okay? By the end of 10th grade, we're thinking more through like 10 to 12 schools that you might be interested in, okay? Definitely visiting college fairs or visiting a school. You can call any school and set up a tour. Like, they're not picky about what grade your kids are in. So, again, if that's something that you can do. Again, just continuing that discussion. And then by the end of 10th grade, thinking through your testing schedule, and we're going to talk about tests in just a minute as well, like ACT, SAT kind of tests. Okay, so 10th grade is just building on the foundation 11th grade is building on the foundation, but it's a little bit more solid. So just like building a house, you have a foundation, you put the walls up. It's a whole lot easier to pick out where you want the rooms and where you want the plumbing before you have sheetrock on the walls than it is after you have sheetrock on the walls. So this is kind of the wall building, deciding like the more permanent parts of their plans, okay? Really continue on with your extracurricular activities in a intentional way. Think about things that they have been successful in that they might want to take more leadership roles in, or continue, broadening or going deeper in the activities. Continue your list of activities and awards. Don't forget to be diligent in your studies, number one. Think through majors, begin having that conversation. Now this is 11th grade, and that's why we do academic advising in 11th grade, is because we're going to solidify a lot of these in 11th grade in class. But these are all conversations that you can have with them as well. And so by the end of the junior year, really having the application pieces together, really having an idea of 5 to 7 schools. By the time they apply, that should be around 3 to 5. And thinking through majors as well. So you're not applying to a school that doesn't have your major that you might be interested in. Okay? And then just think through those kind of things. So 12th grade, that's when we're putting the paint on the walls, and these things are really going to happen. Okay. 11th grade parents, if as you do your tax returns in the spring, yes, 11th grade parents, as you do your tax returns in the spring, it's those tax returns that they're going to use in October when the FAFSA opens. If I have any 11th grade, I have some 11th grade parents. Yes. So just keep it in the back of your head. I'll remind you and come March when you're doing all that. But it's those tax returns that you use for the FAFSA for the fall of your when your kids are applying for scholarships or financial aid, not scholarships. But so just think through that as well. So 12th grade, they're applying. They're in the throes of it. Okay. So that just gives you an idea. So parents of younger students, you're not behind. Parents of older students, you're not behind either. You might just need to do a couple of things, okay? So no stress. Don't feel like, we're missing the boat. We're not.
What grade did you recommend spring testing assessment?
Probably the end of 10th, 11th grade. We do it in class in the academic advising 11th grade. But if you wanted to do it a little bit before then, that's fine. But I would wait until at least the end of 10th or 11th grade. Yes, and I'll give you that information. Yeah. All right, so that's the timeline. So back to, okay, so this is the application package. You're going to have your transcript, we're going to talk about that in just a second. Activities and awards, letters of recommendation, your standardized tests, and then your essays. For any seniors, we're doing a quick essay booster for as they write their essays. August 24 and 31. I'll be sending out more information to you at the beginning of next week for that.
What is that?
Huh?
What is an essay booster?
And essays, as they're writing their college entrance essays,
Right.
if they want more help on those essays.
Okay.
Miss Ware went to a great clinic this summer and learned more about college essay writing. And so she's doing those 2 booster courses to help with college essay writing. And we're going to do that for juniors in the spring. So juniors will have access to that, but it'll be in the spring. But the seniors, because you're applying like right now, we wanted to go ahead and get that in before they send in applications. So that's the application package that we work towards, but that's why the timeline is so important. So this is not overwhelming when you get to 11th and 12th grade, but you've really been working on it throughout, and so it's just like the next step in the process. Okay? All right, so looking at the pieces of a transcript, okay? And this will be the last thing we'll do questions. Okay. So here is my transcript, and this is a totally fake transcript. Grades have been changed and redone. So this is someone who just finished their junior year. So whenever you apply to college, they actually use initially your transcript through your junior year. Okay, so everything from ninth grade, well, some eighth grade courses through your junior year. Now that doesn't mean that your students can slack off their senior year because they have to turn that one in too. But for admissions and for initial scholarships, they look through their junior year. Okay, so it's important to have a strong link. So if you notice that the courses in 8th grade that apply, or even 7th grade that apply, are languages. So if you take any languages in 7th grade or 8th grade, intro to computer, the grade in that one will be on your transcript if you're taking it for credit, or art. If you take any of those in 7th or 8th grade, those will count on your transcript. So if you take a language your 7th grade year, make sure your student is ready to take a language and be successful their 7th grade year. If they need to wait until 9th grade to be successful, then that's totally fine. Don't push them to take it too early and then have them not be successful, and then now it's going to be on their transcript. So, and then in 8th grade, Algebra 1 is on the transcript, and Government and Econ is on the transcript. So if you have any 8th graders, make sure they're aware that those two courses are for real now. So, not that things aren't for real before, but those will be on their transcripts. So to take them seriously. And then as the years go on, everything in 9th grade, 10th, 11th grade as well. Okay. So these are let's see here, they'll have a grade first semester, grade second semester, and then those are the credit hours. Okay, we send with every transcript, we also send what we call a school profile. And a school profile explains to the school, the university, or whoever's looking at the transcript, what our transcripts mean, okay? So I'm telling you this, but it's also in written form that all those schools are going to understand. Now for averages and GPAs, there's a contrast between the two. The average is a 100-point scale, unweighted, okay? The GPA is on a 4-point scale, weighted. And this is all in the school profile, so the schools know this. And this is very common for schools to do this. One is weighted, one is unweighted, because schools ask the weighted and unweighted. They ask both of those questions, okay? So we want to provide them a format for both of them. So the average is the weighted out of 100, GPA is unweighted out of 4.0. Now don't do the math on this, because like I said, I've changed all these grades. So that's not, if you average all these grades, that's not the average, and that average does not translate to that GPA. So I just know, I know. But I've changed all the numbers just for example purposes. So, so that is what that looks like. We do not rank. We are a non-ranking school, and that is very common. So don't let that stress your student out as they're beginning to apply. We are non-ranking. However, if you need the rank for application purposes, if you want the rank, we will give it to you. And we want to fully disclose it, but we will not give it across the board between the students or anything like that. Until whoever is valedictorian is named valedictorian, and on that, only their transcript, we will put number 1 on theirs and then send it out as well. And the reason we do this is not just for not wanting to create unnecessary competition. Really, the reason we do this is because in a class of 15 or 18 at our school, you can be number 17 and still have a B average. And I don't want a university to look at a student and say, oh, they're second from last. Oh, like you have a B average at CLPS, you are an accomplished, that is a very strong academic record. And so I want to put our students in the very best light possible. But because we're a small school and they're small classes and we're very academically rigorous, everybody is in the top. And so I don't want, because there's schools that will put them into category like, oh, bottom 25%. If you're bottom 25%, you can still be a really strong student here. And so I don't want that to be a disadvantage to your students. So that's why that's one of the reasons why we don't rank. But again, we want to fully disclose, so if you want the rank or whatever, we will definitely tell you. But we won't tell you anybody else's rank. I won't give you a rank of like all the students in your class. Those are just the credits. That's kind of how the credits come out. That's really just kind of numbers. Standardized tests, we do put the most recent or the highest standardized test that your student will take on their transcript, but this is not an official report. You will still need to send official reports. Whenever you sign up for the ACT and SAT, you'll need to send those official reports to the schools. This is an unofficial. The school can look at this and kind of see what category your student might fall in, but they're going to still need the actual official reports from the testing. And then we also put community service because we want the universities to see how incredible our students are and how involved in the community they are. Even if a student here at CLPS does standard and does not do character distinction, if you look at their community service involvement compared to 99% of the other schools in the DFW area, they will be above and beyond, like way above and beyond in community service hours, and I want to highlight that. And so we did add community service to their transcript as well. Again, the universities are going to ask for activities and involvement, so they're going to be asking for community service information beyond transcript, but I want just to put that out there. And they're looking at transcripts and be like, this is an awesome student, and they're involved in the community. So yay for them. Okay, so that's the transcript. If you have any more questions on the transcript, definitely ask me afterwards. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to go back, but we can talk more about that if you have more questions about the transcript as well. This is activities and awards, letters of recommendation. We've kind of been through all of this as far as like building in 9th and 10th grade, and then adding like leadership and opportunities for service and things like that on top of the activities and awards. Okay, standardized test schedule. In 8th grade, they take the CTP4 here at CLPS. In 9th grade, they're going to take the PSAT. Now, once they take the PSAT, that's kind of a baseline that we start with. Once they take the PSAT, they're enrolled in the College Board database world. So once they do that, then Khan Academy is a free SAT practice online. And Khan Academy is affiliated with College Board. So once they take the PSAT, they're in the database in the realm of College Board. They can attach their scores to the Khan Academy practice, and they can practice through Khan Academy based on their scores of their PSAT. So it takes like their weaknesses, and they say, oh, you need a lot of help in Algebra 1 concepts, and they will give them practice for Algebra 1 concepts. Whatever, wherever they need help, they'll do that. And so in 9th grade, after they take the PSAT, you get those scores back, you can start that practice even then if you wanted to. 10th grade, they'll take the PSAT in the fall, and then the PACT in the spring. The PACT is not attached to any kind of thing like Khan Academy. Again, that's just kind of a baseline for them to kind of see where they fall in the ACT realm. 11th grade, they'll do the PSAT in the fall here, and that's the one that qualifies them for potential national merit as well. And then after they take the PSAT, we're going to start recommending that they take the ACT and the SAT one time their junior year. Okay? And then in 12th grade, they're going to want to take the ACT and the SAT one more time again. Now, you can take them as many times as you want to. Just my recommendation is that they take one in the 11th grade year and one in the 12th grade year. And the summer between that can go either way. So you can use the summer whichever best way it fits. When it says start planning out your schedule, if you have any upcoming 11th graders, do start looking at your schedule as far as when it's going to be a good fit for your students to start taking these tests. Just because you want to make it where it fits into your schedule. If you travel like crazy the month of December, I would not recommend trying to fit in an ACT test in the midst of that, Or if they play travel ball and all the tournaments are in May, I would not recommend trying to fit in an SAT test in the midst of that. So just look at your schedule and see if that fits. But that's kind of our timeline here at CLPS. Okay, we talked about essays, and there's a booster. We won't do that. Financially, as far as scholarships, just kind of, we'll go into a lot more detail with this in 11th and 12th graders. But just start looking for scholarships, or even thinking through a savings plan for your student, but also begin having the conversation is really important. Having the conversation of, you know, this is where we are as a family, and this is what we can do. And so let's think, as we start thinking about colleges, let's think about colleges that, you know, yeah, that would be like kind of a dream college if everything works out well. This is a college that we could do, but it might be a stretch. You have to get, you know, financial aid and everything. And then here's a college that we could do. This would be a good fit without much stress on our family. So begin having those conversations. Like, those are real life conversations that your students need to start hearing. So they, you know, either way, they don't dream big because they think it's only, you know, you can only do this much when you could actually do something different, or they dream so big and you're like, okay, the reality of this is where we are as a family, okay? And, yeah, okay, so that's all. And going into that, let me just end with this. In looking at future goals for your student and everything, the Lord created, I firmly believe, the Lord created them with a perfect plan and a perfect purpose for their life. So, and they put, the Lord in His great wisdom put him in your family and all the particulars of your family for a perfect plan and a perfect purpose for their life. So, whatever opportunities they have, the Lord is going to use those opportunities for His glory. And we want to encourage them to take advantage of every opportunity that they have. Whatever doors may close, for good or for bad, the Lord uses those opportunities for His purpose and His glory. So let me encourage you in that. Wherever your student is, wherever you and your family are, the Lord has a purpose and a plan for that. There is no one size fits anything in the Lord's economy. And so just celebrate that with your student. Celebrate who you are and what God has created your family to be and what God has created them to be as you look out towards the future for them. So I know that was a whole lot and it's at the end of the day, and I'm so sorry, but I wanted you to have as much resources as I could like funnel into you, because I won't see you all again like all together for a long time. But if you have any questions or if you need anything, please email me or make an appointment and we can talk or whatever. But thank y'all.
Thank you.